Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am here to talk about Aari McDonald and the misinformation that is flying around a 10-day waiting period. Now, I get that everyone is excited to sign Aari McDonald. I've been calling for it. I've been seeing lots of videos that have said otherwise, that we can't really do it. We need to prepare for hardship, and that there is now on X, there's this post that everyone's running with, that there's this 10-day waiting period. And my interpretation from what I've read of the CBA is different. So I want to break it down, the collective bargaining agreement, what it actually says, bust some myths, and explain how hardship contracts work and clearly and correctly. So let's just walk through it. Let's just walk through it. And we'll see where you stand at the end of this. So the Fever recently signed Aari McDonald to emergency hardship contract due to multiple injuries on the roster. Aari has played well. Obviously, everybody wants to have her on. So the problem is that when Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, if they come back and the roster has 10 healthy players, then Aari McDonald's hardship contract immediately expires. So people have suggested we waive Brianna Turner and we make room for Aari, but then the confusion and the internet lit up with talks of this 10-day waiting period. So is that real? Let's dive into it. So let's break down what a hardship contract actually is. So a hardship contract allows a team to temporarily exceed the 12-player limit. If they have fewer than 10 healthy players, an emergency hardship kicks in when the team has fewer than 8 or you are under 10 for the game time. So basically, even though the Fever are under 10 areas emergency because they didn't have enough players for 10, that's why she flew in for a day and was immediately like hopping in for game time. And so that was the emergencies expedition of the WNBA, basically like being like, yes, go sign the player so that you have 10 players for the game. That's essentially what the emergency is here. So these contracts are not tied to specific dates or times. They basically just execute until you have healthy enough players on the roster. And yes, the team can re-sign that player if a roster spot opens up, but it must be a standard contract and the team must have cap space and an open spot under the 12-player limit. So far, so good. So next we go. Now let's say the Fever waive Brianna Turner, who makes about $85,000 a season. Does that free up enough space to sign Aari? And the answer is yes. But remember, waiving a player mid-season also is prorated. Aari's contract currently, the contract that we have her signed to, that we would sign her to, likely in a standard, would be less than Brianna Turner's, and so cap space proration, her proration's under Brianna Turner's. So if we're cutting it, then we have enough money to sign Aari. So yes, the cap math works out. The Fever can afford to sign Aari. So now here's the big one. Is there a rule that says you have to wait 10 days to re-sign a player? Yes and no. So according to Article 5, Section 14F of the current WNBA CBA, if a team waives a player, they generally may not re-sign that player for 10 days. Now, the funny part about this is like, this isn't like part of like the coded in contract stuff. This is more there's a few things that we'll get into, but this line actually is more of like a guideline and less of like what actually happens in practice. But here's the catch. The rule has an exception. So if a player was waived due to hardship or emergency hardship needs, and the league grants a hardship exception, then the team can re-sign her immediately as a replacement player. That means if the Fever waive Turner and they are operating under a hardship, they can sign Aari right away. Once Turner clears waivers, that's usually 48 hours. There's no mandatory 10-day wait in that case. That part is completely misunderstood. So why does everyone think there's a 10-day rule? Well, it started with the WNBA Insider on X, and it spread from there. Even some media articles, my peers, other people have picked it up with the hardship exception loophole, all that kind of stuff. So people also confuse the NBA has a 10-day contract system, which doesn't exist in the WNBA. So the result, the confusion, and players like Aari McDonald considered like they can't be signed. Now, here's the bottom line. The Fever can waive Brianna Turner. After a 48-hour waiver period, they'll have enough cap space and an open roster spot. Because Aari McDonald is under a hardship, they can sign her to a standard contract immediately. No 10-day delay required. This has happened in 2022 with the Lynx, with Elizabeth Westbrook. It's happened before. She got signed immediately, converted over. It works. And this CBA, just for reference, is 2022 to 2025. That's what we're under. So hopefully this helps like you understand the kind of situation. And meta, this is how I'm going to kind of wrap up what the situation is. What I believe, why we haven't heard anything, what is being thought of in the background is we're still waiting for Caitlin Clark to be reevaluated. They probably know Sophie Cunningham's return status. I imagine what's going to trigger is when the Fever figure out when Caitlin Clark's going to come back. Because until then, there's no reason to pull any triggers right now, make this roster move in this moment. So what I believe is going to happen is Fever are going to find out that CC is going to be returning. They're going to have a timetable. They're then going to be 48 hours before she's going to get cleared, all that kind of stuff before we get out of hardship. They're basically going to waive Brianna Turner, Coulson, Timpson, whoever. That will open up cap space and a roster spot. Now that those are satisfied, and because Aari McDonald is under hardship, they can sign her to a standard contract immediately. No 10-day delay required. They can just immediately do it. But they have to do it while they're under hardship because, again, like stated, if Sophie Cunningham, if Caitlin Clark come back, she's immediately cut off the team, and then Aari goes into waivers. So hopefully this helps you understand. I think the other talk about is what message this sends to other future free agents. And I'm going to be honest, like this year is a mercenary year because the CBA is getting renegotiated. A lot of players are falling off this year, except for our rookie contracts. And likely every team is going to look very different next year, except for their rookie contracts. And so the thought is like, okay, well, if you're going to say that, you know, if the Fever are going to send a message that they're going to cut you on their roster if you're not performing or you're not doing well, and a new player comes in and has 2 great games, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm going to be honest. If the message you're sending is you earn your spot and you don't get to sit on the bench, and if we're not using you, if you're not giving us value, then we're going to go with the player that is getting 20 plus minutes and leading our team to victories and also fits in our system and also is the best backup that is on the market right now, it seems, for Caitlin Clark. I don't see a problem with that. And next year, because everybody's going to mercenary out, if you believe, if I believe, as I think though, so the Fever are going to perform very well this year if they sign Aari McDonald and have her extra defensive energy and backup to Caitlin Clark, and she'll enable them to do the off-ball stuff that they want to do. Then you do it, because then you want to know how you make your team more attractive to free agents. You go, hey, do you fit into our system? We want you. You fit our system perfectly. We are vying for, we're making deep runs. We're making it to the semifinals. We're on the cusp of a championship. Heck, best case scenario, we won a championship. Come to our team. That's how you get people to come to your team. It's not being like, well, if you come, we'll let you sit on the bench and we promise we won't replace you. And then that's what's going to bring you here. No, I want people that are come here. I'm going to want them to be hungry to play for the Indiana Fever. I want the Fever to pick players that specifically are going to let us execute the team ideas that we want to have around Caitlin Clark. That is obvious. That is what's happening with the Indiana Pacers right now and their success in getting to the NBA Finals. You handcraft the team. And I think that it's very obvious that that is the Fever's move forward. And frankly, I don't think that we should feeling too bad about sending this signal of signing Aari McDonald, because she's earned a spot straight up. And I don't think that saving the player that's getting 3 minutes, 6 minutes in a blowout is the right play, or, at all. So, maybe I'm off, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know if this was helpful, explaining to you the contract situation with Aari McDonald, how I think it's going to happen, what the actual situation is, what the path is to signing Aari McDonald to the Indiana Fever. And as always, remember, you're going to be amazing today because you are amazing. And I'll catch you next episode.